Have you ever felt nervous speaking English? I have, and I remember that moment like it was yesterday. It was my first week in a new country. I had just moved for a job. Everything felt exciting, but also scary. One morning, I walked into a small coffee shop. There were just a few people inside. The smell of coffee was warm and comforting. The woman at the counter smiled and said, "Hi, what can I get for you?" That's when my brain stopped working. I knew what I wanted. I had practiced the words before. I'd even written them down the night before. But at that moment, I froze. My hands started to sweat. My heart was beating fast. I looked at her, then at the menu. Nothing came out of my mouth. After a few long seconds, I pointed at a muffin and said, "This." She smiled again and gave it to me. I paid, walked out, and sat on a bench outside. And then, I felt terrible. Not because I said this, not because of the muffin, but because I had studied English for over 2 years and still couldn't speak in a simple situation. I remember thinking, what's the point of studying if I can't speak when I really need to? That was the turning point. That night, I went home and wrote something on a small piece of paper. Create an English routine. Every day, no matter what. I put it on my wall. That was the beginning of the most powerful English routine I've ever followed. And today, I'm going to tell you exactly how it worked. But first, let me tell you what I realized that day. Learning English doesn't happen just by watching movies or taking classes once a week. It happens when we make it part of our life. The next morning, I woke up early and remembered the promise I made to myself. Create an English routine every day, no matter what. But I didn't want something complicated. I didn't want to feel tired or stressed. I just wanted something that worked. So I started simple. My routine had 3 steps. 1. Listening, 10 minutes. Every morning, I listened to a short English story or dialogue. Sometimes it was about travel or family or food. I didn't stop or take notes the first time. I just listened, then I listened again. But this time, I repeated some of the sentences out loud. For example, "I want to improve my English." I would pause, then say it myself. Again and again. It helped me get used to the rhythm of English. 2. Reading out loud, 10 minutes. After listening, I opened a short text in English, often the same story. I chose a paragraph and read it out loud 3 times. I didn't worry about being perfect. I just focused on speaking clearly and slowly. The first time, it felt strange. But after 1 week, my mouth started to move more naturally. English was no longer just something I thought. It was something I said. 3. Speaking to myself, 10 minutes. This part changed everything. I started talking to myself in English, in the mirror, while cooking, or walking to work. I would say things like, "Today is a busy day. I need to go to work, buy groceries, and send an email to my boss." Or, "I feel tired, but I'm proud of myself." I'm learning English. It felt silly at first, but it worked. I wasn't waiting for someone to talk to me. I was practicing anytime, anywhere. After 1 week, I felt more confident. After 1 month, I stopped freezing in conversations. And after 3 months, I was finally speaking without fear. It wasn't magic. It was just consistency. In the beginning, I was scared to speak. because I didn't know what to say if I made a mistake or didn't understand something. So I started collecting simple phrases that helped me feel safe, confident, and ready, even in uncomfortable situations. Here are the 5 most powerful English phrases I used in my daily routine. 1. Can you say that again? This one helped me so much in real conversations. When someone spoke too fast, I didn't panic. I smiled and said, "Sorry, can you say that again, please?" It worked every time. Most people were happy to repeat. 2. What does that mean? If I didn't know a word, I asked. For example, what does deadline mean? They explained. I listened. I learned. This phrase gave me confidence. I didn't need to understand everything. I just needed to ask. 3. I'm still learning. I used this phrase when I made mistakes, which happened a lot. If I said something wrong, I smiled and said, "Sorry, I'm still learning." And guess what? People respected that. They helped. They slowed down. They encouraged me. 4. Little by little. This became my personal motto. When I felt frustrated or tired, I said to myself, little by little, I'm getting better. It reminded me that learning is a journey, not a race. 5. Practice makes progress, not practice makes perfect, because perfect doesn't exist, but progress does. I said this every morning, out loud, with a smile. Practice makes progress. These phrases became part of my daily life. I use them in my routine. I use them in conversations. I even wrote some on sticky notes and put them on my wall. They gave me power, not just to speak English, but to enjoy the process. And now, I want you to try one. Say it with me. Practice makes progress. Good. Say it again. Now write it down. Put it on your phone, on your mirror, in your notebook. 3 months passed. I didn't take a big course. I didn't move to another country. I just followed the same simple routine every morning for 30 minutes. One day, I went back to that same coffee shop. The same woman was working there. She looked at me and smiled, and this time I didn't freeze. I smiled back and said, clearly and calmly, "Good morning. I'd like a coffee and a blueberry muffin, please." She said, "Sure. Your English is really good." And that moment, I'll never forget it. It wasn't just about the coffee, it was about me. I was no longer afraid to speak. I didn't feel small or stuck. I felt free because I had done something powerful. I had kept going, even when it was hard. That little routine became part of my life. Now I speak with confidence at work. I help tourists in my city. I even made new friends from other countries. It all started with one decision: 30 minutes a day. Every day, no excuses, not perfect grammar, not expensive classes, just consistency, just courage, just a little time every day, and the belief that I could grow. So if you're watching this and thinking, I'm too shy, I'm too late, I'll never speak fluently, please remember this. If I could do it, you can too. Never give up.